Hey folks, today I wanted to show you how dates are stored in Google Sheets. Dates in Google Sheets are stored as numbers, and the way you can find that out is by looking at the date and the dates start on December 31st, 1899. That's day one. Now, if you look at let's just put in today's date. So today's 8/1/2024. If I were to take that and I would in this column type equal to value, we'll use the value function and we'll just put in this text. You'll see that we're at day 45,505 days past December 31st of 1899. So let's see how we can calculate that. In this cell here, let's do an equal days, and days is a count of number of days between two dates. So my end date will be today, and my start date will be December 30th, 1899, 45,505. The value of the date, 8/1/2024, is 45,505. So that matches. Now we get an interesting piece when we start working with timestamps, and this is important when you start looking at collecting data on a Google form and you have these timestamps that have the date and the time. So when we look at date and time, let's take a look here. This date is 0 for December 30th, 1899, and the time was 1 minute past midnight. And notice that's 0 point, all these zeros. And notice here's how that works. We have 60 minutes, seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 86,400 seconds in a day. 1 second is equal to 1/86,400ths of a day. So that fraction is this fraction. And you can see that's the same fraction we have here. If I were to change this date to something like this, let's say this was at 6:0001. Notice that is 1/4 of a day, again with that little fraction. Let's go ahead and get that back to that 0. And notice 6 a.m. is 1/4 of a day, and 12 a.m. is half of a day. You can see that's 2.5. That's day 2, half a day, and so forth. So we're dealing with these fractions. Now, if I were to look at the value of, for instance, this, let me put in a value here equals value. Again, we can choose value, put that in, go ahead and hit enter, and notice that's 45,503.58194. So it's important sometimes in certain projects that you're working on to understand how dates are stored. Dates are stored as numbers. They're stored as numbers based off of day 0 being December 30th, 1899. Any date prior to that. Notice if I were to choose a date prior to that, that's a negative number. So let's go ahead and undo that. So you can see how that works. Now, that's how dates are stored. Now, dates can be viewed any way that you want. For instance, let's take today's date. I could take this and I can view it however I want. I can go to a custom date and time, and I'm showing it as that function right now. I can switch this to something like that. So that would give me August, and I could do a leading 0 and the year like that. And now that's going to say August 01, 2024. That's because I'm formatting my custom date option. I can also do something like this where all I want is to apply the month. So even though this, and that actually breaks my value because August now is what is displayed. It's not really a value that can be displayed. That as a date can be displayed. But there's lots and lots of ways to do that. And again, the reason I was exploring this is I'm going to be making a video about using a function that required me to understand how dates are stored.